Welcome to the Spice of Life podcast, where we take bold risks, build real wealth, and use money as a tool for freedom and legacy. I'm Luke Spicer, and each week we uncover the principles of ownership, independence, to business and life. Whether you're an investor, entrepreneur, or tradesperson, this show is about creating freedom today and legacy for tomorrow. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Spicer Life podcast. I'm super pumped today. I've got one of my all-time favorite authors on with me, Bob Burg, who wrote the book, co-authored the book, The Go-Giver. It's one of my favorite books. Bob, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hey, Luke, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I mean, it was really neat. You came on, you did a Zoom with me. Oh, what, like almost a year ago? I had a book club where we read The Go-Giver, and you came in, you answered some of the guys' questions, and they were super pumped. They were like, "Holy cow, how do you got this guy?" I'm like, me and Bob, we go way back, you know. And so then when I launched this podcast, I thought I gotta reach out and talk to you again. Um, in the audio version of your book, right? There's a lot of, you guys talked about that in the end, about groups like that I had where you're having people come back and they're discussing it. Do you have a lot of people like me that still reach out to you from the book like this? Is it still pretty, you're getting lots of inquiries?
Yeah, we still do. It's really interesting with the book. It's now, I guess, 17th year, and it hasn't stopped. And John and I keep doing interviews on podcasts, and certainly when we speak, and we do a lot of Q&As and so forth. So we've done our best to really keep it going as well.
Right. Yeah. And now I didn't look, but did you guys launch another book, like a fourth one in the series, or a fifth one now on relationships?
So yeah, John and his wife. So John and I did four of them.
Yeah.
Uh, Three of them were parables. One was a Go Giver Sell More, the only one not a parable. That was
Yeah.
a more of an application guide to the Go Giver. Then John and his wife Anna did the last one called the Go Giver Marriage,
Okay.
and it's half parable and half how to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they've got a
Yeah.
great marriage, and they really wrote a fantastic book.
Right, yeah, which is cool. I haven't read or listened to that one yet, and I had heard it was out there, but I just didn't really, I don't know, I just get busy, and, and then
Of
I was like,
course,
"I'm gonna
absolutely.
ask you direct," right? So what keeps you busy then these days? Like, what is it, you've guys got some coaching programs that you're doing now, and
Well, John does. John does a writer's mastery course,
okay.
and I've referred a whole bunch of people to that, and they're always happy I did because he is really the best. I mean, this guy really is such a fantastic writer, and he just knows the science of it and the art of it and so forth. With me, my business now, which for, years I was on the road speaking at conferences and so forth. I'm 67 now, so last few years I totally took myself off the road. I only speak at events if they're held in Florida where I can drive to
Okay.
them. I don't get on planes anymore. But I do a lot of keynotes that are virtual, and
Okay.
I charge a lot less, but the commute is great.
Yeah, 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 because you don't have you do it right from your in-home studio where you are right now.
Downstairs. Yeah.
Yeah. I and honestly, like, I did construction for 25 years, right out of high school. I was gone, rain, cold weather.
Yeah.
And then when I switched, like, I have an investment company now. We've been running, like, I work with a company, but I've been doing it 3 years. And for the first year, I was, like, in the office and I was meeting people in person. And then I started to do some podcasting and we can I'm in Canada, right? So we can do it anywhere in kind of in North America. I do most of my stuff this way now too, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I love it because I'm at home. We homeschool our girls. I can walk
Oh, good for
and
you.
and
Good
and
for you.
talk to them. I was just with them. I was like, "Hey, gotta go. Got Bob's podcast, and
Uh,
I'll go eat lunch after." But yeah. So I don't blame you for being like, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to travel a bunch. I can do this." And what part of Florida are you in?
so I'm in the town of Jupiter, which is 25 minutes north of West Palm Beach on the Atlantic side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so will you do anything pretty much in Florida for live events kind of thing? Is I mean,
I'd say anything, Orlando is about a 2 hour and 45-minute drive northwest for me. So I'll do that. I'd even go the 4 hour drive to Tampa, but and then of course down south is Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and so forth. But nah, other than that, I really don't want to drive that far either.
Yeah, fair. I mean, what's the point, right?
I'm old, I mean, at this point, it's one of the great things about old age, right?
Yeah.
You can sing, you can kind of not do things you don't want to do a lot
Mhm.
more.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny for me, like, I read that book the first time I read that book was years ago, and when I first was given it, right, to read it, when the guy had said it to me, like, "Well, I just wanna make sure we're coming," that we're meeting on the same page, and I was like, "Okay, like, whatever," and then I read the book, and I couldn't put it down,
uh,
and I've said that now a couple of times to people, like, "Read this book and let me know what you think," and to me, it really if the book doesn't resonate with them the way it resonated with me, I know we're probably not in alignment with how we wanna do business and life together, so I'm kind of like, "Okay, well, no problem," right? But when somebody really loves the book, it tells me a lot about them, I think, as an individual and how they would behave in life and business, which has been, yeah, really, really awesome.
oh, nice to know. Thank you. We do have a lot of people who do use that as a I guess as a hiring tool where they'll have people read the book and have them talk about that sort of thing. So we always love hearing something like that. It's a nice compliment.
Yeah. What would be out of the 3? Because I know that the Go Give Ourselves More is more just like a practical approach guide. It's funny because listening to it I'm like, yeah, on one hand, I get a lot, but then when I'm like working, because I love to listen to any of those books if I'm, especially in the summer when I'm out doing like yard work or something where I'm just like working or running the tractor and stuff. I just love it. I turn it on and because I've listened to it so many times, if I'm busy or dude, I kind of still know the gist, but sometimes to get just that reaffirming information, from the different characters and what they're processing and going through
Uh,
uh, yeah, I've always just loved it. Which one of those 3 though is probably your which one's your favorite?
my favorite is the Go Giver Influencer because that one is really about people skills.
Yeah,
And I'm just such a huge believer that people skills are the kind of a determining factor between the relatively successful, certainly the legitimately successful person, and that person who just takes it to a whole other level.
yeah. Now which character is the influencer? Is it the pet food or is it
Yeah,
the
that's the that
pet food? Right.
that's the story. Yeah, there's the
Okay.
pet food entrepreneur and the corporate person, and who they were trying to get together to do a joint deal, I guess. And yeah,
Yeah, and the husband is working with the corporate lady and the wife is working with the pet, and they don't even realize
right.
that they're doing it, the dynamic of everything.
Now that's John again, that's John David Mann's writing talent. That is not me. I mean, how he comes up with that, even the idea, and then so much of the dialogue that is just, outstanding. But that's John. Brilliant.
What's then your part that you do then? Where was your focus in these books?
So the source material was taken from mainly taken from a book that I wrote years ago called Adversaries into Allies, which was a how to. Now that one's no longer in print. I bought the rights back from the publisher and I've updated a little bit, and it's going to be re-released. And again, it's a how-to book, and it's going to be re-released most likely in April. I'm going through the final editing right now.
26?
2026, yeah, and, so, a lot of that source material was taken from Adversaries into Allies, and then, John and I go through everything together, but he writes the scenes, he writes them, then we go through that together, and how does it work in, and blah, 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 but he's a joy to work with, so it's like, when people say, "How is it working with with a co-author?" Well, I don't know about anybody else, for me, it's great because he's a better writer, I know he is, and I've it's like but he's such a humble guy too, it's like he's always if you have a point or, in for how brilliant he is, you think, well, you don't wanna nah, he's great.
Right. So adversaries and allies, you're saying it was in print, but it's not there anymore, but person
Adversaries
find
into allies, yeah,
into allies. Okay.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Into allies.
yeah, it's hard to find now because there's some resellers on Amazon that sell them, but I think they sell it for pretty expensive Right,
Really?
so, yeah, I'd wait until the new one comes out, and that's gonna be it's gonna be called Genuine Influence is gonna be the title.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Genuine.
wait till that one comes out because I have made some changes in it that, brought it up to date from, years ago, and
Well, I like collecting books, as you can see, so I'm gonna see
I
if
know
I
you
can find out. I'm gonna
right.
still see if I can find that other one and kinda go. I mean, I try to read a book every few weeks. This club that I started, right, where I actually I didn't mean to. We had, um there's an organization, that I was a part of called Leader Impact, and it was about just, yeah, making impact in communities with leaders, and
Mhm.
so I kinda started this group, and then we started to read books, and then now it turned into, like, a men's book club without my wife always teases me, like, she's like, "Have fun at book club," and and I was like, okay, and it is, but we meet at 6:30 once a week on Tuesdays, and we go over we're reading a different book. Like, we just finished reading, Robert, Cialdini's book, Influence, right? And
Oh, that's a
persuasion and stuff like that.
fantastic. Did you get his updated one, the one that he did in 2019?
Which copy it's funny because I got the copy right here. Yeah, the new and expanded one. Yeah. This one right here.
Um,
Or
yeah.
is it
If it says expanded version, then it probably is. Mine's, the color's a little different, but I'm sure yours is, he added a new, not law, but, he has the different principles that he
Yeah.
got, but he added a new one. But he kinda updated some of the stuff and everything, and it's really, really good. But even if you just read the older one, it's still great. But
It is. Yeah, this one says 2021,
oh,
so
yeah, then you're
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
2019, but yeah, 2020, great. Yeah, that's a fantastic book. I
Yeah.
recommend it to everyone.
Paper money's losing power, but real money, it's been trusted for 5,000 years. When banks print, inflation steals, and markets shake, gold and silver stay solid. Don't wait for headlines, own what's real. Visit learnwealthcycles.com and start building freedom with physical silver and gold today. Well, and it's interesting to me because so many books that you read, especially from the like employer and business and influence and relationships, like so many of them are actually really the same because I think ultimately the core principles of of you know uh 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, Think and Grow Rich, like all these really great classic books, they still all tell the same thing. What I loved about the Go Giver series is it really just simplified everything. It told it as a story. You could put yourself in that in any one of those characters' shoes and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to this high stress meeting today with this, supplier or the bank, and like, what do I do?" And then as you're listening, you're like, "Oh, yeah, well, if I just kind of show up that way, life's not so bad."
Yeah, and, it's funny because when the book first came out and, we'd be interviewed and people would ask, "So what is it in this book that is, different from, all the things that we've learned throughout the years?" And our answer was always, "Nothing." Uh, you know, what's new, I remember Jim Rohn, I don't know if you remember Jim Rohn, he might have been a little before your time, but he was wonderful, and he used to say, "Beware the person who comes to you promising new fundamentals." Right?
Oh, yeah.
No such thing as a new fundamental. There's a reason why they're fundamentals. And so, none of the things, none of the laws in the book were anything new. I mean, successful people have been doing that for so long as there have been market economies, I would imagine. But the thing is, they don't always know that's what they're doing. Some people did it intuitively, and you got to give them credit. It's great that they do that, but um, but it's better when we know what it is. Bob Proctor used to say that, the people who are successful, intuitively, very naturally without having to learn it, it's wonderful, but what happens is when they go into a slump or things start turning, they don't really know what to do. They don't know what to fix because they don't know what it is that's broken. They never learn the actual
Oh,
principles. And so when you know the principles, then you can measure what you're doing, your thought processes, your actions, and so forth against those principles. And say, okay, where am I not kind of aligning? But
yeah,
but yeah,
I really like that. That's a really good because certain things do come really easy to some people, but then when they get, like,
sure.
knocked down, you're like, "Why did they crash so bad?" But yeah, it could be that could be it. Um, I like there's that book, 48 Laws of Power,
Oh, it's
right?
an amazing book by Robert Greene. Yeah.
Yeah, and so many people that I know, so then again, this would be like the mindset of them, like, is people that are very forward thinking and really wanting to, exceed in business and life, they love the book. And then people that kind of what I've noticed is people with more of like a victim mindset, they're like, "Well, that book's terrible. It's talking about like, persuading people and manipulating them." And I'm like, "Why would you read a book like that?" And I'm like, "Well, one, I said, "I wanna know when it's happening to me, so
Absolutely.
I wanna recognize it, and then I don't have to do it." And now you can still that's why I like influence, right? Because it's like if I'm helping you make a decision that's gonna better my interest, but I know deep down what I'm selling you or helping you with is going to improve your life, then that's like a good thing. But I also still want you to make the decision on your own. I don't wanna convince you to do anything, beyond your control, right?
Yeah. Well, the big thing is, and when whether it's a book like Dr. Cialdini's, whether it's a book even like, Robert Greene's, where Robert does go into a little bit of the, sort of the dark side of humanity in a way, and what he's
Mhm.
pointing out, whereas Dr. Cialdini keeps it much more neutral. But even with Roberts, there's still principles that are being talked about, and principles are not inherently good nor bad.
Exactly, yeah.
It's sort of like if you look at gravity. Gravity is a principle in terms of universal law. On Earth, in our earthly existence, gravity works. You can accept it or you can deny it, but you can't alter it. I mean, gravity works. Now, gravity is a principle. Is it good or is it bad? Well, it depends. It's good when it keeps us from floating up helplessly up into space. It's bad when we walk off a seven-story building. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Dr. Cialdini's and with Roberts. You read them to get the principles of it and
Mhm.
to understand the principles. But like you said also, you wanna know when someone's doing it to you in a way that's not serving your interests.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true because those laws are like they're pretty exact laws,
yeah.
like, that's what happens, and I think that, I always laugh because, Green wrote, the 50th Law with 50 Cent, right? They wrote another book, he co-authored that book,
Mm,
but even in that, he talked about that too, like, well, these laws are manipulation, but they're not, they're just laws, and they just happen, and you have to be aware of those things, otherwise you're gonna be manipulated by people that maybe don't have your best interest in
that's
mind, and,
that's right.
I think studying human psychology has been I never thought I would enjoy it, but I've enjoyed it a lot more as I've got older because it's so much to do with I mean, I'm in the sales role, that's my
Sure.
my
Well, the
life,
study
right?
of human nature is so, key. In fact, there's a really great book if you get a chance. Uh, I don't know if you've read this one yet. It's a long read, but it's fascinating. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And, it's all about how we make decisions as human beings. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, you talk about understanding human nature. Holy cow. It's really a phenomenal read.
I wrote it down, but I wanna say I think I have that behind me and I haven't read it. So, I wrote it down. Now I'll have to look, and if I don't get it I do find lately that I've been if I'm hearing about a book a couple times and I haven't read it, then I just go get it because it's
That's
like,
what I
I need to do this." And what was I talking about the other day? Somebody, had said something to me, oh, "Buy Back Your Time" by Dan Martell. That had come up quite a few
Yeah,
times, right?
and I have not read that, and I'm ashamed to say I haven't read it because I've heard about it enough times that I should have had it read. I'm always amazed by how many books I haven't read, because I've read a ton of books, but I'm
Yeah.
still amazed at how many I have not read that I should, and so that is definitely one, for the list.
And so you're an avid reader then? You enjoy reading?
Oh, yeah, it's my favorite sport.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I was a big audiobook person, for a long time because, again, in the construction days and moving and doing things, like, obviously, I can't read a book, and now that I'm at home a lot more, I've got time in between, I've got 3 books on my desk right now that I've kinda got because 'cause they're all doing something different, and I'm just trying to,
Mhm.
get through them, and Yeah, I do really enjoy reading. I had saw somebody like a while ago, somebody said, well, if you read and listen to the audiobook, you'll comprehend it differently. But I'm like, I don't know when I ever have both at my disposal. It's usually like I'll listen to the audiobook. I tend to listen to audiobooks of books that I've heard enough times, and I'll do them when I'm like on the plane, right? Like if I'm flying somewhere, I'll put an audiobook on, The Go Giver or something. And if I fall asleep, on the plane because 'cause I'm just dozing, it doesn't matter to me as it's still playing, I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I know exactly where I am in the book because 'cause I've heard it,
Uh,
many times." And yeah, like right now we're reading, The Science of Getting Rich.
oh, yeah, that's one of my I've probably read that book 55, 60 times.
Yeah. I have in our club, we have a guy that's really like a real Christian guy, like most of us are, and he's having a hard time with it because it's talking about money and it's not, and I'm like, "You need to get." We only read the first 4 chapters.
Right,
Yeah, he's
he
never
talks
read it.
about that. Yeah, he discusses that,
Yeah, and I'm like, you
yeah,
gotta give it some time." But so I challenged them. We were gonna reread the first 4 chapters before next week because we're meeting again, and, I said, "I really want you to go through it because I said, "I think it's challenging you, but I think if you open yourself up to learning from it, you're gonna take away what I've taken away from the book in a different way. Because he's talking about God in there, in my opinion, right? It's like, that's what infinite intelligence is to
right.
me, you know?
Sure, sure, and, it's interesting because when someone, regardless of their religion, if they have a let's say, a poverty mindset or in what we could call, let's just say this, we receive so many anti-prosperity messages from the world around us,
Yeah.
okay? Religion, sure, but, uh, certainly everywhere else, the
Yeah.
media, is totally anti-prosperity. I mean, and it's, in so much, um, and it gets into our unconscious mind, and we don't see this as something we've been programmed to
Yeah.
believe, you know? And because when you think of it, there's nothing that I've seen that, should equate poverty with, no, there's nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing right with it inherently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you have money, you are much more able to live your values.
Yeah.
And that's the key. So let's say somebody says, or let's say somebody really believes, and let's say this person is someone who believes that uh, a high value for him is charity. Okay. So are you able to live your values of giving charity more effectively when you have a lot of money or when you have a little money? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say travel is a high, value, and he wants to take his kids all over the world to see different, can you do that more effectively with a lot of money or a little money? So, money itself, again, it's a principle. It's like gravity or it's like anything else. It's how you use it that, is the difference maker. And so it's a shame that the world gives us so many anti-prosperity messages, and it gets into the unconscious, and it controls us, and we don't even realize it's controlling us, right? So
Yeah.
I so
Well,
yeah, I hope in the book he really sees, that it's a good thing. Abundance is
one of the guys, that's what was neat, is one of the guys, he runs a painting company, and, he'll probably hear this, so hi, Sean. But, like, he read it, and he said in the thing, he's like, "I I had no idea that I was closing myself off to receiving," in the form of, like, he'd have somebody call him for a job, and he couldn't get there right away, so he would start to, like, problem solve, "I wanna help you out, Bob. I'm gonna let you know to call this guy," or whatever, and then he would give the work away, and then he was like, "Oh, no, I'm shutting off my own flow to me," and I was like, "Yeah, man, you gotta find out. Maybe Bob's okay to wait, like, 4 weeks, and then you still have the job." And so he started to do that because the idea is for us is we
great
read
mentor.
a chapter or 2. In this case, we're reading 3 or 4 at a time because it's so short. But the point of it is, like, put that into practice in the week and then come say how you did it. So we did that with the Go Giver, right? Each week, we came back And just like in the book, we talked about how we applied the law in our life that week, and then every one of the guys would kind of share, like, what they did. Like, did they give away a contact, to, like, help somebody else or whatever. It was so good to see how many people applied it, and then deeper than that, how much it helped them at the end of the 5 weeks or 6 weeks that we read that book, right? Because they really started to embody that, and they're still doing it to this day in their own way, right? So, yeah, yeah, it's had such a profound impact on my life. My wife, loves it. We have all the books. I don't know where they are. They're in here somewhere, and but I do. I love it as an audio because it's just I can take it anywhere, listen to it when I'm driving, that kind of stuff. Um, so you're doing a lot of how many speaking engagements do you do or events, like, in a year?
Well, now, I mean, with just the, virtual keynotes, I probably do 2 or 3 a month,
Okay, yeah.
but,
So are you gonna ramp up and do some when you relaunch the book? Is that gonna be
well, I'll
something
do it,
that
yeah,
you
I'll do a lot of, well, I'll do a lot of podcast interviews
Yeah,
on that, yeah.
yeah. And you figure you're gonna launch that in April?
Mhm.
Okay,
That's what it looks like right now, yeah.
okay. Well, hopefully my audience has grown exponentially by then, and we can get you on and talk
I
about
would
it
love it,
again
yeah,
on the
yeah.
new one because that would be a lot of fun. Where can people find you? Like, I know on social media, what's the best thing? You're big on LinkedIn, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, I have a pretty good presence on LinkedIn. I would say just for people to go to burg.com, and when they're there, they can, if they'd like, subscribe to my daily impact email, which is something I send out 5 mornings a week, and then usually a sales message on the weekend, but 5 mornings a week is the actual email that arrives at your inbox at 5 a.m. wherever you happen to be in the world. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and they can, learn more about any of the books or any of the other fun resources.
Yeah, Berg.com.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go there too. I didn't even know that that existed, so I'll have
Ah,
to I'll have
ah,
to get on the email list and get a daily inspiration from Bob himself. That'll be good.
thank you. I hope you
Yeah.
enjoy it.
I do. I mean, I think that, our email gets so inundated with advertisements and different things these days, so to actually have something that's, pretty good. James Clear, he has an email that goes out,
Oh,
and it's like the
yeah,
1, 1, 2, 3, and he, like, touches on these things. It's a really good one.
fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're right though, in the world, you said that earlier with, like, so many things, like, of negative or, like, that, you know, prosperity is, like, almost shunned.
Yeah,
It's, like, nice to have those daily reminders of abundance in our life and what can happen because it just sets the tone right. At least for me, it does when I can do that in the morning and get started on a good note and
I
go to
agree.
bed on a good note. Yeah, yeah. Bob, I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with me, and, we'll definitely keep in touch because I'm looking forward to this now that I hear this new one. I'm gonna see if I can find the original. I'm gonna Google it as soon as we hang up. I'm gonna see if I can find it, but, um, yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show, and I appreciate you.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Appreciate you more.
When the system shakes, paper wealth disappears overnight. But real wealth, it doesn't flinch. Gold and silver have outlasted every currency ever printed. The question isn't if this next storm comes, it's what will you do when it does. Visit learnwealthcycles.com. You too can own what's real.